Break out them brooms. The Phillies swept the Tampa Bay Rays the past 3 days. They're on a 3-game win streak. They won 9 of their last 11 games, including the past 4 series. They do have a tough 3-game series on the road in Cleveland starting today for this weekend. So hopefully they can keep that up. But the Phillies are rolling right now, and it's great to see. They're winning ball games. All you have to do in a Major League season is win series. I'll keep saying that until I'm red in the face. If you win each series by the end of the year, you're going to be a great team. You're going to be set up well for the playoffs. You're going to be right there among the best of them. So the Phillies swept the Tampa Bay Rays down there in Florida. Great to see. They did it again. The Phillies did it again. They rallied late in the game. They were down 5-1 going into the 8th inning. Bryson Stott came up to the plate, 2 runners on, and he launched an absolute, just incredible home run. 3-run home run, made it a 5-4 ball game. Really, the Phillies were inches, I mean inches, away from tying it up on the very next batter. Trey Turner came up, smoked one to left field off the bat. I thought it was gone. The Phillies play-by-play color commentator Tom McCarthy, the great, the legend, he thought it was gone. Trey Turner seemed to think he got all of it too, but it just hit the tip of the left fielder's glove right at the very top of the wall, inches away from going out for a home run to tie it up 5-5 there in the 8th inning. Turner got a double out of it, and unfortunately, Bryce Harper, who has been struggling this year so far in 2025, he came up to the plate right after them. There was 2 outs, and he grounded out to end the inning. I felt like that just seems like what happens. You know, you have this chance to tie it up late in the game. You rallied late, could have tied it up with those 2 back-to-back home runs, and then the next guy gets out instead because it wasn't a home run. Goes to the 9th inning. You lose the game 5-4. You come up too short. But the Phillies did not do that. The comeback kids, as I like to say, the fight-ins, as many others like to say, including myself, they proved their worth last night. They did not go down without a fight. After that 3-run home run by Bryson Stott, the Phillies came back up in the top of the 9th inning. Kyle Schwarber got a single. Johan Rojas, the elite speed demon himself, came in to pinch run for Schwarber. The Rays try to pick him off at first. Bad throw. Rojas gets all the way to third base with no outs. And then 2 batters later, Johan Rojas scored. It made it a 5-5 game to tie it up going into the bottom half of the 9th inning. And the Phillies completed that comeback. They went into extras. The Rays couldn't score in their half of the 9th inning. The Phillies in the top of the 10th inning scored 2 runs. They got first scored. You know, you always like to get that first guy. They start off with the guy at second base. You always like to push that run across just to, especially when you're the away team, because it gives you that run. It's kind of, I'm not going to say it's easy to score in the extra innings with the guy on second base. Not every team does it, but a lot of ways you can get that run home. So when you're the away team, it's necessary. It's essential to get that run home because the bottom half of the inning, you don't want to stay tied, and then relatively easy way for the home team to win. So the Phillies pushed that 1 run across, and then they got an insurance run to make it a 7-5 game, which was huge. And then Matt Strahm came in for the bottom of the 10th to go for the save. One of the best Phillies relievers, more reliable guys. Matt Strahm, he was an all-star last year. The lefty came in, a little dicey situation, but he got through it. The Phillies won 7-6. The Rays did score 1 run in that inning. The Phillies won 7-6, swept the Rays there down in Florida. It was kind of a weird game because until that 8th inning, the Phillies offense was really, really quiet. They had 2 hits in the first 3 innings. They ended the game with 9 hits, so obviously 8, 9, 10 innings. They got the other 7 hits, but they only had 2 hits through the first 3 innings, and they had no more hits until that 3-run 8th inning. They scored 1 run in the first inning from a sacrifice fly by Bryce Harper, and then they had no more runs until that 3-run 8th inning. So they had a late rally. It worked out for them. They won that game, swept the Rays. It was great to see because, it's obviously great to win. So the Phillies are right there with the best of them. They're up there with the 22. They have 22 wins, 15 losses, I believe. They're right up there with the best of them. And it's great to see a team come back, have a team win like that, come back and win. A reason that they won is because of smart, fundamental baseball. It's really important. Not every player can do it. Not every team can do it. But the Phillies did it last night. First, Brandon Marsh hit a go-ahead RBI double in the 10th. Great to see for him because he had struggled through the early parts of the 2025 season. He's been a lot better since he came back from injury. And then Bryson Stott, who hit that 3-run home run in the 8th, he had hit a sacrifice bunt to advance Marsh to third on the very next at-bat, which was great because, you get that guy 90 feet away instead of 180 feet away. It's a lot easier to score. There was only one out there. So the Phillies had 2 outs to work with at that point to push that extra insurance run home to make it a 7-5 game. And they did just that. Trey Turner came up next. He hit an RBI single. Marsh scored 7-5. Insurance run, 2-run lead going into the bottom half of the 10th inning. Before that happened, Trey Turner stole second base. He's known for his speed as well, so he tried to get it. He did not try. He did get into scoring position. Again, he didn't score though, so it was a 7-5 game going into that bottom half of the 10th inning. The Phillies, if you play smart fundamental baseball, you're going to win games at this level. Simple as that. The Phillies haven't always been best at it. More notably, Johan Rojas kind of struggles with his bunting. There was that one game a couple games ago where he tried to bunt twice in the same game. Didn't really work out for him either time. Couldn't get it down the first time. The second time, bunted it way too hard to first, I believe it was. And then JT Realmuto was trying to score at home. Got thrown out at home. Poor bunt. He did have a nice bunt the other day, but they're not always there with their fundamentals. If you do everything right like that, you're going to win baseball games. So that was good to see because the Phillies have not always been at the top of their game with that. Maybe it's a coaching thing. I don't know. Work on it a little more. I'm sure they do. Another coaching thing that is kind of raising some questions, kind of alarming through the early parts of this season, is manager Rob Thompson's almost hesitance to pitch his high leverage guys such as Jose Alvarado, Orion Kirkring, Jordan Romano, all of those guys late in the games when they're trailing. Obviously, you're going to pitch them when you're winning, when you're up in a close game, but when you're trailing, you don't want a game to spiral out of control. The Phillies, they're only down 2-1 in the 7th inning. They had a chance to win that game, but they obviously did winning, which was good. But Rob Thompson put in Tanner Banks. Tanner Banks is not a high leverage guy. He's been impressive this year, and before last night, he had a 2.93 ERA before last night's win against the Rays. He came into that 7th inning in a pretty high leverage situation because, like I said, you don't want a game to spiral out of control when it's right there for you to take, right there to get a lead. Unfortunately for the Phillies, it did spiral out of control for them and Tanner Banks there in the 7th inning. It was a 1-run game, like I said, 2-1, and then Tanner Banks lets up a couple base runners, and then a 3-run home run he allows. The Rays took a 5-1 lead there in the bottom of the 7th going into the 8th inning. And like I said before that, the Phillies offense was completely quiet. It felt like that was a dagger to them. And later on in the season, into the playoffs, you can't be doing that. Rob Thompson can't be pitching guys like Tanner Banks, can't be pitching guys like, just the not high leverage situation guys there at the end of games and when you're trailing by 1, 2, 3 runs even, because you want to have the best chance to win, and you're simply just not going to get it with those guys. Tanner Banks' ERA rose to 4.41 after last night, after that 3-run home run, and it could have been costly for them. They could have lost that game, and you just don't want to see that later on in the season. Like I said, you don't want to be losing games that affects your playoff position, that affects you getting in the playoffs at all, or affects you in the playoffs. You want to win a championship, and you're not going to do that by pitching a guy like Tanner Banks in a close game like that. No disrespect to him. Like I said, he was having a good season before yesterday. I'm sure he can get back on track. It was just a 3-run home run. Could happen to anybody. But he's just not the guy to be pitching there in that situation. Rob Thompson's got to be better at that. He can't be hesitant because he's got to win games, and you're just not going to do it that way. Another decision that Rob Thompson might be forced to make is regarding their superstar Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, he is one of the best players in all Major League Baseball, has been since he debuted a long time ago at the Nationals now. He's been great. He's one of the faces of Major League Baseball, but he's had a slow start to the 2025 season. He was 0 for 4 in last night's ball game against the Tampa Bay Rays. He did have that sacrifice fly in the first inning and gave the Phillies a 1-0 lead, but 0 for 4 the rest of the night. He's batting just .236, has a .357 on base percentage, a .414 slugging, and a .771 OPS with just 6 home runs in 2025. Not the kind of numbers we're used to seeing out of Bryce Harper. He's got all the talent in the world, and he's just not producing at the plate right now. He will. He's the kind of guy that can flip the switch in the blink of an eye. I have all the faith in the world that he will pretty soon. He's had some good at-bats recently, been a little productive recently, but he has been struggling through the early parts of 2025. He's played in all 37 of the Phillies games this year, made 36 starts at first base, just 1 as the designated hitter. Should the Phillies be using him a little bit more in the designated hitter role? Take him off his feet, not focus on fielding all for 9 innings in a baseball game. Maybe that helps him get back on track at the plate from an offensive standpoint. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't hurt to try. Like I said, 36 of the 37 games he's played first base, just 1 at DH. Maybe it's even time for him to have a day off. Maybe even 2 days off. It's hard to take a guy like Bryce Harper out of the lineup just because of his name, because of what he's capable of, his production that he's had in the past and that everybody knows he can do. But when you're struggling like this, sometimes it's best just to take a back seat, sit there, watch a baseball game without having to focus or worry about what you're going to do your next at-bat, what you're going to do in the field, what fans are saying about you in the field, heckling at you. Just sit there, relax, watch a baseball game. If you're needed to come in, pinch hit, pinch run, go into the field later in the game, so be it. But sometimes it's better for the mindset. You just got to reset. Bryce Harper, he might benefit from doing that. Like I said, it's hard to take him out of the lineup, but the Phillies do have a really good team. They've been producing. They've been winning ball games without his production in 2025, obviously, right now. So it might not hurt to let him rest for a game or two or use him as a DH more, just to take him off his feet, like I said, clear his mind, reset, and get back to playing Bryce Harper baseball. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm Mike Hennelly. We'll be bringing more Phillies content to you tomorrow. Can't wait for it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that kind of fun stuff for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Go Phils.